Did Jesus really exist? The historical evidence from Josephus. For centuries, scholars, skeptics, and believers alike have debated one of history's most intriguing questions: did Jesus really exist? Some critics argue that Jesus was nothing more than a myth, a fictional character created by early Christians to reinforce their beliefs. They dismiss the New Testament as biased and unreliable, claiming there's no credible evidence of Jesus outside the Bible. However, historical records tell a different story. Surprisingly, several ancient historians, many of whom had no ties to Christianity, documented the life and influence of Jesus. Among the most important of these sources is the Jewish historian Flavius Josephus, a prominent scholar from the 1st century. His writings provide a rare and fascinating glimpse into Jesus' historical footprint and the world in which he lived. Before we explore what Josephus wrote about Jesus, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content where history and faith come together. Who was Flavius Josephus? Flavius Josephus was born in 37 CE in Jerusalem, just a few years after the crucifixion of Jesus. He came from a respected priestly family and received an extensive education in Jewish law and Greek philosophy. During the Jewish-Roman War, 66 to 70 CE, Josephus initially fought against the Romans. However, after being captured, he surrendered and eventually gained favor with the Roman general Vespasian, who spared his life and later appointed him as a historian under Roman patronage. Josephus's most famous works, The Jewish War and Antiquities of the Jews, offer invaluable insight into Jewish history and the political climate of the 1st century. Within Antiquities of the Jews, written around 93 CE, Josephus makes two references to Jesus that have sparked intense scholarly debate for generations. The first reference, James, the brother of Jesus. One of the most credible and widely accepted references to Jesus appears in Book 20, Section 9 of Antiquities of the Jews. In this passage, Josephus describes a legal proceeding initiated by the high priest Ananus. He assembled the Sanhedrin of judges and brought before them the brother of Jesus, who was called Christ, whose name was James, and some others. When he had accused them as breakers of the law, he delivered them to be stoned. This short but powerful passage carries immense historical weight. First, it identifies Jesus as a real person, referred to in a neutral and factual tone as Jesus who was called Christ. Second, it corroborates New Testament accounts that Jesus had a brother named James, who was a significant leader in the early Christian movement. Lastly, the neutral language of the passage suggests it wasn't tampered with by later Christian scribes. If it had been, we'd likely see more embellishment or praise. Most scholars agree that this passage is authentic and represents a crucial non-Christian confirmation of Jesus' existence. The second reference, the Testimonium Flavionum. The second, more controversial reference to Jesus appears in Book 18, Section 3, and is commonly known as the Testimonium Flavionum. It reads, "Around this time lived Jesus, a wise man, if indeed it is right to call him a man. For he was a doer of amazing deeds and a teacher of people who accept the truth with pleasure. He won over both many Jews and many Greeks. He was the Messiah. Pilate, when he heard him accused by the leading men among us, condemned him to the cross. But those who had first loved him did not cease to do so. For on the third day he appeared to them alive again, as the divine prophets had foretold. To this day, the tribe of Christians, named after him, has not disappeared." At first glance, this passage appears to fully endorse Jesus' divinity and resurrection, something highly unlikely for a devout Jew like Josephus. Because of this, most scholars believe some parts were later added by Christian scribes. When scholars remove the likely Christian interpolations, the original text may have read something like, "Around this time lived Jesus, a wise man. For he was a doer of amazing deeds and a teacher of people who accept the truth with pleasure. He won over both many Jews and many Greeks. Pilate, when he heard him accused by the leading men among us, condemned him to the cross. To this day, the tribe of Christians named after him has not disappeared." This more restrained version aligns with Josephus's usual style and remains neutral in tone, strengthening the argument that he genuinely mentioned Jesus. It portrays Jesus as a historical figure, a respected teacher, and someone whose followers continued his legacy after his death. Why didn't more historians mention Jesus? Skeptics often ask, if Jesus was truly significant, why didn't more historians write about him during his lifetime? The answer lies in context. During his life, Jesus would have been viewed by the Roman Empire as just another itinerant preacher from a small, remote province. Roman historians had little reason to take notice of him until his following grew into something much larger. As Christianity spread, historians like Tacitus and Suetonius began acknowledging the movement by the late 1st and early 2nd centuries. The historical Jesus, beyond myth. Even when stripped of later embellishments, Josephus's writings provide valuable independent evidence of Jesus' existence. They confirm several important facts. Jesus lived in the 1st century. He was known as a teacher and miracle worker. He had followers among both Jews and Gentiles. He was condemned to death by Pontius Pilate. His followers, known as Christians, continued to grow in number after his death. These points align with the New Testament and challenge the idea that Jesus was purely a mythical invention. While Josephus did not believe in Jesus as the Messiah, his writings suggest that Jesus was influential enough to be recorded by a respected Jewish historian decades later. Final thoughts. The testimony of Flavius Josephus remains a cornerstone in the quest to understand the historical Jesus. As a non-Christian source, his references offer an unbiased perspective that supports the core details of Jesus' life and lasting impact. His works remind us that the story of Jesus extends beyond the pages of the Bible, into the very fabric of 1st century history. If you found this exploration insightful, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more compelling content where history and faith come together. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.